Hey guys, so I thought I would go ahead and just show you one quick example from your study guide. You have 5 examples on the Chapter 10 study guide, and I just wanted to make sure that we understood what we were supposed to do. So this is what your study guide looks like, as you can tell. This is the Word document, and we're going to do the first example together. So number 1. Please note the instructions say for each problem, determine if there is a significant relationship between the two variables. Okay, so in order to determine if there is a significant relationship between the two variables, we need a couple of things. We need to know which test we're doing. Are we doing a t-test or are we doing the Pearson test? And then we are also going to determine our critical values from the table that we use and our test value or our correlation coefficient. Those are the 3 things we need to use to determine if there is a significant relationship. So that's what I'm going to do. This first example says at a large department store, customers were asked to rate the service and the materials purchased on a scale from 1 to 10, which with 10 being the highest rating. Should be with. I'm going to change that while I'm thinking about it. All right, with 10 being the highest rating. Then the amount that they spent was recorded using the t-table. Okay, so we use the t-table. And alpha equals 0.05. Is there a significant relationship between the variables? Approximate the amount they spent if they rated the department store a 10 and round to the nearest whole dollar. Okay, so first thing I need to do is go to my t-table, which is on your Teams. It'll be up here at the very top under Files. Trying to get the thing so you can see it under Files. So I'm going to click on that, and we are going to not go into our little folders. We're actually just going to use these tables right here. I need to use the t-scores, so I'm going to click on that. Here are all of my scores. I'm going to make it a little bit closer just so that I can read it, and I have alpha equals 0.05, so I know that it is a two-tailed test because all of these are two-tailed. I'm going to go over to 0.05, and that means my numbers are going to come from this column here. So I'm going to just count how many items I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And please note that in this section, our degrees of freedom is actually n minus 2. So 6 minus 2 is going to be 4. So my values, or my critical value, should be this right here, 2.776. So I'm going to come over back to the Word document, and I'm going to write that my critical values are going to be equal to positive or negative 2.776. All right, now I need to figure out my test value. So when you use the t-table, you have to find what your r is, and you got to plug it into the formula, and you have to figure out your test value. So it would be t equals. Now, if you have a calculator, your life is going to be a whole lot easier because you're going to type in all of these values and you're just going to let the calculator do the work. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my calculator. So here's my calculator. I'm going to go ahead and type in all of my information under Stat and Edit. All right, I can type in all of these values. Actually, I'm going to delete all of this because I don't need any of this. You don't really have to. It's just I like that. So our values are going to be 6, 8, 2, 9, 1, and 5, and then anything else that you have, you want to delete. All right, just press the delete button, DEL. All right, now that I have my X values in, I'm going to go to my Y values, which is $90, $83, $42, $110, $27, and $31. Delete anything that looks that is beyond that. Let me just double check everything. I see that my first value was supposed to be 90 and I put a 9, so I'm going to fix that. That's a common issue with me. I just like to skip numbers a lot. And it significantly changes your values and your answers if you have the wrong number. So it's really important to make sure you have all of the entries correct. So now that I'm done with that, I can go to Stat. I'm going to go over to Test, and I'm going to scroll down until I get to F. F is the linear regression t-test, and really I'm going to be using this for all of it, whether or not I'm using the t-test or the Pearson test. So I'm going to click enter. I'm going to make sure L1 is my X values, L2 is my Y values. Make sure that your row is going to be does not equal 0. That is what we're working with. And please press enter. Now we have all of the values that we need, including our R. We have our R value. Let me just show it to you really fast. our A and B, this goes inside of our linear regression line, okay? So I would, if I were to write this, which I have to in a couple seconds, I would take all these values, but I'm just going to ignore all that for a second, and I'm going to focus on t, because it actually calculates t for me right here. So please make sure whenever you're taking anything from your linear regression test, you are rounding to 3 decimal places. So my t-test should be 3.439. So I'm going to go back to my screen. I'm going to try to go back to my screen. There we go. And I'm going to say my t-value is 3.439. So now I'm going to just draw my picture, okay? My critical values go on the ends. All right, there's my stuff. Positive 2.776. All right. And now I just have to ask myself, where is the test value? Where is 3.439? Well, 3.439 is going to be over here in the shaded region. Therefore, we are going to reject our claim. All right. And because we rejected, we can summarize it by saying there is sufficient, or there is enough evidence to suggest a linear relationship. Okay, so that was my whole goal. All right. I had to, for each problem, determine if there is a significant relationship between the two variables. I have found there is a significant relationship between these two variables. If my answer had been to not reject because our test value or whatever was in the non-critical region or the non-shaded region, then I would have said, don't reject. There is not enough evidence to suggest a linear relationship, and I would be done. I don't have to do anything else at that point. But because my point, my test value, and if you're using the Pearson test, your R value, because that is inside of the shaded region, we reject. Therefore, there is a relationship. Then it says, I'm going to change my color just so that you can see that we do not do the next step unless we prove there is a significant difference between a linear relationship. If there is a significant relationship, please provide the regression line, the correlation coefficient, predict y for a specific x value, which is inside of your problem each time, and the standard error of the estimate. So that's why I haven't deleted anything from my calculator yet, because all of the answers are already there. I don't have to do a single bit of calculation. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually write my R value. My R value, let's go back to the calculator. The R value is, I have to scroll down to get to it. All right, scrolling down reveals that my R is 0.864. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to say that, I guess I'll go this way. Hold on. It's going to be 0.864. Okay, did that. Now I have to do my regression line, which is going to be y prime. Let's go back to the calculator. That is going to be the A and B value. A comes first, and then it's going to be plus BX. So I can see right here I have my A value. I just have to make sure I round correctly. So A would be rounded to 14.928. All right, because this 8 is higher than 5, so it affects this third value. Plus 9.466x. All right, so I'm just going to go back and write that. All right, 14.928 plus 9.466x. And then our x value is actually inside of a problem. It says approximate the amount they spent if they rated the department store as a 10. So I'm actually just going to skip that really fast because I don't want to delete anything from my calculator quite yet, but I know in a couple seconds I'm going to plug in a 10. The last thing I need to do before I plug in my 10, though, is I need to figure out what is my standard error of estimate. So I'm going to go back to the calculator, and I'm going to look for my S value. My S value is right here, 19.623. Notice how everything is being rounded to S equals 19.623. Notice how everything is being rounded to 3 decimals. Now that I'm done with that, I can plug in my 10 from into my regression line to figure out what it would be, how much a customer would spend if they rated the department store a 10. So I'm going to go back to the calculator, and I'm going to just start typing in my numbers, 14.928, and notice how everything disappeared. That's why I waited till the end. Times, and I made a typo, so I gotta go back, 14.928 plus 9.466 times 10. That gives me $109.59. $109. So y prime would equal $109.59. And then the last sentence says round to the nearest whole dollar. Okay, so that would be $110. And this would be my answer. Okay, so I am looking for 8 things, just so you know. The first thing I'm looking for is our critical value. The second thing is our test value. The third thing is our decision. And then the fourth thing is our correlation coefficient. Your regression line is next, and I need both the values. I'm checking both values, so each one of these is worth 1 point. Your standard error of the estimate, and then finally I'm looking for your prediction. So this is 8 items. All of these problems are worth 8 points. I hope that was helpful, and make sure that when you are moving on from the t-test to the Pearson test, the Pearson test does not need t-equals, okay? So just make sure that you are aware that if you're doing a Pearson test, the Pearson test, you need your critical value from the Pearson test, and you compare it to your correlation coefficient, your R, okay? So please make sure you are doing that. Again, you'll only have 7 answers with that one because your t value will be MIA. Hope that was helpful, and make sure you are emailing me if you have any questions.